We're going live right now.
And welcome to episode 2 of Star Wars Between a Rock and a Hard Place, where at the last episode we left off with Haish and Tindrick and in their ship, the Golden Lady, had just hypered into what's actually called the Brilliant Jewel system, the system in which there is a planet called Ord Mantell, which is a bit of a trading hub in this part of the galaxy. Ord Mantell itself is an old ordnance planet set up by the old Republic back in the glory days. Originally a military world, it's now become a hive of those who love games of chance. The civilized parts of the planet are covered with casinos, racetracks, and all manner of entertainments that people from all over the galaxy can come and bet on. Several of these are transmitted across the galactic holonet. Outside of these cities, though, the world is a bit different. Large swaths of the planet are covered with junkyards, trash, old ships, and such. Many of them brought and dumped here at the end of the Clone Wars. Traders, of course, trade in this junk and such, and come and search through the place looking for old artifacts or even possibly weaponry and upgrade, and engines and such to upgrade their ships. But they also, come for more nefarious business, as you will. Around the planet itself, there are several orbital stations, many of them with very gaudy flashing lights, as there are also casinos in many cases. There are at least 2 what are called herd ships, which are giant ships that have a biome under a dome in them. The species commonly known among most people, in some cases slightly derogatory, as hammerheads, maintain these. And these ships can be found all over the galaxy, but here at Ord Mantell, they're there they're actually there trying to terraform part of the planet. But none of that's really important right now, because as the ship came out of hyperspace, they received a communication, which Haish answered, and a man with apparently some kind of a prosthetic on part of his face says, well, it took you long enough.
But Haish replies with this, you are incorrect, sir. Neither myself nor my crew know you. We do not have an appointment with you.
Oh, you most definitely do have an appointment with me.
Well, you should introduce yourself first before you assume.
Okay. Who is on sensors, by the way?
Leith. He's sitting right here.
Okay, she's on Leith, the droid. Tindrick, do me a favor real quick. Roll me 4d6 and tell me what you rolled.
Do I use a special die as well, or just 4 normal dice?
Yes, use a special dice as well. I need to get you guys Leith's actual stats at some point.
16.
All right, Leith turns to you and says, "Sir, we have 4 incoming TIE fighters. They're about 3,000 clicks out and closing rapidly."
I just look at Leith. I look back at this screen, and I say, "All right, call your hounds off. Let's talk." And I'm locking the cockpit door.
Oh, but it would be so much easier if you were to come aboard my ship and the accommodations I have here for you. I actually have quarters waiting for you and your friends.
I want to talk first.
And those escorts I've sent your way are just there to make sure you're safe.
Oh, really, good sir. What is your name?
He smiles and he says, "My name is known throughout the Outer Rim, and spoken, by some in glory and by some in fear."
That means nothing to me, sir. I am not from the Outer Rim.
You may call me Del Arcane.
Well, thank you.
And He smiles once again. He says, I have a feeling we'll get to know each other quite well. Leith says, TIE fighters have closed within 1,500 kilometers, sir. I suggest
Still kind of
take
feeling that sunburn from just the couple days before.
Yeah.
Hayes will just kind of like bristle, but he won't let it register on his face.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the sake of the audience and the rest of the people on the ship, you probably heard me lock the door.
That's true. So
he's not necessarily stalling, but well,
Keep in mind, Tindrick's probably back in the storage bay messing around with those droids still, so he doesn't even know or care.
It doesn't echo that far down. That's fine. Oh well, is Yana still sleeping in her chair?
You're not sure because you locked the door.
Oh well. Okay.
So,
oh, then I mean, I was asleep at the cockpit in the cockpit chair. So anyway, no. He'll kind of begrudgingly, I suppose, if they part, like if there's four of them, they go off in two, and they go on my flanks. He'll maneuver to where he kind of falls in line with them.
Okay. Roll me your sense die.
My sense die. All right, noob, where is that? Okay, no, it's just one die.
Yeah.
Hayes has no sense. It's okay.
He's a Miraluka. He has to have sense. But you can't beat it out of him. That's a 5.
Okay. As these things get closer, you start feeling dread. I mean, you start feeling a deep foreboding.
Is he still on my screen?
Yes. And when you look at that screen, that foreboding magnifies tenfold. You do not want to get anywhere near this guy. You have a feeling that whatever he's inviting you to discuss, you don't want to have anything to do with it. Okay.
Haish knows that the Gilded Lady, aka the Jade Typhoon, can't outrun a TIE fighter or a single man fighter anyway.
Okay. Well, actually, I'll tell you what. Roll me a knowledge. Just roll me a mechanical starship piloting check.
All right.
So that's right. Space transports is what it is. That's going to be. So basically, it's for mechanical or whatever you happen to have.
Well, I have starship piloting, not.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
Thank you for the explosion there. 6, 12, 19.
You know that, yeah, you might not be able to outrun them in a flat out race, but as you look down, you see there's a lot of traffic here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of platforms. And there's places you could probably lose them because your ship's pretty maneuverable. And yes, TIE fighters are maneuverable. If you can get them into the areas where they can't get direct view of you, you might be able to just disappear into the crowd.
His logic is we're probably the only Nubian freighter in this quadrant, so we'll only stick out like a sore thumb. But you know what? Does he?
Are we going to do the stupid? Are we going to do the stupid?
Well, the stupid is actually going and speaking with him. Yeah, I flash him my ass and we disappear into the crowd.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to take that roll that you made as you're piloting there, as you basically invert and dive down into the crowd.
I'm gonna take a glance at the screen. I'll be like, all right, now take one last look, and I'll kill the feed.
Okay. You get a sense just for a moment of, a kind of rage that it's almost like staring into a furnace as you cut that. And then your mind focuses on where you are right now.
Oh, suntan. But yeah, we just go straight down into the.
Okay. You are going to notice this, Tendrick. The compensators can't quite fully keep it from jerking around. So you get jerked around back there in the cargo bay. It's obvious that there's maneuvering going on. I mean, some pretty drastic maneuvering going on. So.
Like I'm back there getting tossed around the storage bay type maneuvering.
Well, they have inertial dampeners, so it's not like you're thrown against a wall or anything. But the very quick maneuver is going to basically you're gonna feel the motion. It's gonna rock you, and probably make you have to like hold a hand out to hold yourself where you're at. You might, the tool, maybe your toolkit falls off a table or something like that. An unsecured droid might fall over.
Rocked around.
Yeah, obviously something's going on. This isn't like normally in normal maneuvers. If you're even going for a landing, you shouldn't even feel that. Whatever happened now was a pretty drastic maneuver.
Do we have like a speaker intercom system that I can speak directly into the cockpit?
I would hope we do.
Well, I don't know.
Yes, you do.
So yeah,
right,
I would.
You installed it. I mean, come on.
Yeah, right. Okay, me as the player doesn't know.
Okay.
Excuse me.
So yeah, no. As soon as I get rocked, and like I said, I would actually be more pissed off by the fact that my tools got scattered everywhere.
Yeah.
Because I'm very meticulous. I am very, everything is in its place. Don't touch it. I kill you. No, yeah, he would hit the speaker system and basically like, what the fuck, Haish? What are we doing?
We had an imperial visitation, and this blind jackass decided to assume that he had an appointment with us, and I told him, no, we do not know you. And he insisted, so I left.
So, real quick, Rafe, what is your perception?
My perception.
Your perception die.
Well, my perception die is 2.
All right. Okay. All right. Roll those for me, or roll. This is the only time you're going to roll a stat. And this is for initiative. Roll me those 2d6.
And one of them has to be my exploding die?
Yes. One of them has to be an exploding die.
That is 10.
Okay. And I get to roll one as well here. All right. So Leith actually next to you says, "Sir, the TIE fighters are entering attack range."
Well, damn them. How good of a shot is Leith?
He's not actually programmed as an offensive droid, but he can operate the devices, and he has photoreceptors, and he has fingers, so he can operate the gun if you need him to. But more likely, you probably want Tendrick or somebody else on that.
Let me ask you this next question. My single laser cannon, because can that rotate 160 degrees, or say 360 degrees?
It can rotate 160 degrees. Yeah, it can rotate 360. Yes.
Now only 160 degrees, so just
360. Yeah. It's on a turret, so yes, it can fire behind you and above you and in front of you. So
wait, you said it was on the top. It can't fire underneath us.
Right. Well, if you roll the ship, it can.
Oh, well, never. Yes. All right. Yes. Yes. Never mind.
Do a barrel roll, Fox.
Right.
I'll spin. That's a good trick.
Yeah, I'm gonna holler at Tendrick. We know I might need your help up here.
Okay. All right. So you're gonna hold your action to for a starship maneuvering check to maybe dodge out of the way of
If
incoming fire.
Well, no, yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that.
Okay.
I thought that was my turn. Excuse me.
Oh no. And then Leith Leith says, "Sir, would you like me to be on shields?"
Yes, that's an 18
Okay.
for my starship maneuvering die.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Right.
I am good at getting us
Oh,
into
crap.
and out of trouble and piss pounding somebody with martial arts.
All right. So with his 4 dice for his technical, Leith rolls a 29 on your shields. His wild die exploded twice.
Nice.
And the you see the green blaster fire from behind you of the TIE fighters. The first misses you because you maneuvered out of the way. Second one, you're actually able to dodge as well. Third, lucky.
This might hurt.
So, yes, actually, that one's gonna hit you. The shields were, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for damage. That's a 29. Yeah, it does not get you through your shields though because the high roll. So the way space combat, you guys feel the shock of the shields getting impacted. The way that works is the shields roll is sort of like your soak roll for your ship. But it's based off a person's skill with Starship Shields. So he was able to. Yeah,
the ship itself has a 2 die plus 2 for shields.
Yes, so that's added to the roll.
What Leith rolls?
So yeah, say least technical is 2. The ship has 2d plus 2. You roll 4d plus 2.
Oh, that's slick. All right.
So yeah, so you're able to dive down into this into the traffic there. What are you doing there, Tendrick?
Did H ask me to get on guns or?
Yeah, no, I just called you up here to help.
Yeah,
you will see, and I'll just point to the cannon.
Yeah, he'd run up and slip into the seat for that.
All right, so you can pop a shot off if you want to. The gun has a 2D fire control. So what you would do is you would use your Starship gunnery plus 2D to roll your attack.
You said the cannon has 2D?
Yes, has 2D fire control.
Okay.
So
5D plus 1.
Okay.
$18.
All right, you hit the TIE fighter. So the gun itself has 3D for damage.
Okay.
So you roll the 3D and tell me what you get for that. So
16.
All right.
Ouch.
Okay, you see, you don't take the TIE fighter out, but you definitely see a good bit of carbon scoring pop up on its on the ball cockpit, not too far from the front, and it does cause the pilot to flinch. So he sort of peels off for a moment and wallows there. Hey, make me a roll, please.
A what roll?
Sense.
Sense. All right.
This is a force sense.
Oh shit. That is an 11.
All right. As you're going down into this traffic, you're zipping through. You're zipping around transports and such, and small patrol craft, and you're seeing ships maneuvering out of your way as these TIE fighters come zooming in here as well, trying to line a shot up. You're one of these orbitals your eye is drawn to. And you just feel, I need to go there.
An orbital.
Yeah, it's based on one of the big orbital space stations.
Ah, okay.
As a matter of fact, on your plot, the orbital is called the Waya Casino, WAYA Casino.
Okay.
And and the thing is, you don't. It's not like you have a direct line of sight to it. Literally, it's like you see it in sort of flashes between ships.
Right. I'm
down below where you're at, and it's just for some reason that place draws your eye.
I will commit that to memory. As soon as I know for certain that we have dodged these ties,
Okay.
we're still in this dive.
Oh yeah. You've gotten a dive and you're into the ships and into the traffic that's there. Okay, so back to the top there. Make me that piloting roll there again, Rafe.
It's that scene from GoldenEye where you're falling off the cliff. Come on, pull out of the dive. Now,
is there anything in terms of like a called shot in this system?
You can do an aim,
14.
which means take a full round to aim, and it gives you an additional 1d to attack.
Okay.
So
That's a 14. Grand
All right.
Moff battles.
Okay. You're able to maneuver in between the different ships and such. Oddly enough, one of the TIE fighters, possibly the one that got spooked, slams into a freighter and explodes. The other three are able to get around it. But the traffic is getting pretty flippin' tight. And you may literally where Tendrick is in the little bubble with the gun there, you probably at one point look up and you see the belly of a transport right there. You feel the wind in space as you go by that.
Asshole pucker.
So
you might want to pop the seal on that seat there. There you go. Just because this is Star Wars and pulpy, Keith, how much altitude do I have?
You're in high orbit at the moment.
Okay.
Going down to the planet itself, you can get there, but it's going to take a lot of maneuvering among the different traffic that you're going through at the moment. So, but basically, think of that scene in, I believe it was Attack of the Clones, toward the beginning, where they're doing the chase.
Oh, I'm full aware.
This is the kind of traffic we're dealing with. My
whole what I'm kind of envisioning this next move is, Hayes actually doesn't have eyes. I was gonna say if he had eyes, he would just close his eyes, sit back in the seat, and essentially not necessarily like let the Force pilot for him. No, it's he basically reaches out and does this power dive, and he kind of have that Force sensitive zen out. What would I need to do to do that?
That would be basically a concentration, which is a control power.
I don't have control.
You don't have control at all.
I don't.
You can try.
This might be something I learn very, very quickly.
Roll 1d6.
Okay.
And if you get a 6, I'll allow it.
Ooh.
Or you can spend a Force point.
I could kill us all right now, or we're gonna attack the darkness and use a die.
All right. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh baby, yeah, that's a 6.
Okay. Roll it again.
Okay. Okay, that's a 4. That's a 10
Okay.
total.
So a 10 total. All right. You feel yourself falling into that sort of a Zen spot, where you're sort of falling into yourself, but at the same time expanding out with the force, with the senses around you.
Well,
And you get to where
so the people on the ship will actually feel this then.
and yeah, so you're actually feeling, you feel the ships around you. You feel the sentient beings that are in those ships, piloting them, seeing you, reacting to you. More distantly, you feel this burning, bright red rage out beyond the perimeter where the ships are, and you can sense that it's coming from it's an Imperial frigate. It's out there that this presence is in. You feel Tendrick, him up in the cockpit. You feel Yane. She's not quite as bright as Tendrick. And just for a brief moment, you feel someone else very bright coming from that casino back there. And then it's gone. It's almost like a vacuum appears, as if almost like you had a flower coming out and something got too close to it and it pulled itself back in to hide.
Just for the sake of cinematics, I mean, is it this other light from the casino? Was it in reaction to me reaching out, like it's touched for a moment, and then
yes, there was a brief moment of contact, and it was almost like, oh crap,
oh fuck, I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, almost like it's a reaction to you don't, not necessarily a reaction of fear, but almost as if it's like, ooh, I don't want to distract him. So
was it familiar?
No,
it was not familiar. Okay. Do I sense that we're going to continue doing this until I sense that the TIE fighters have pulled off?
Okay, so what you want to do is roll your paladin skill and add 4 dice to that.
Starship piloting. Oh my god. Okay. My goodness. All right. Give me a second here. $32.
All right. So you take the ship through a number of spins, dives, and loops around several different ships. The TIE fighters do their best to keep up, but they're just not up to the task. One of them clips one of its solar panels on one of the ships and sort of spins off out of control. Eventually, the other two just get left behind. It's just that, I mean, it's like, where every ship is going to be a split second before it's there. And you're able to pull your ship through spaces that are literally just wide enough. You probably hear in your mind Tendrick screaming because he's seeing these ships go by so quickly. Tendrick, what are you doing, by the way, while you're up there watching this whole thing?
I don't know if he would actually scream. I mean, because the boy's seen a lot of crap.
He may feel you through the force going, oh my God.
Yeah. Like
your apprehension.
He would definitely have a couple of oh shit, that's really close moments. And he'd probably see when it's literally like that far away from his bubble and something else.
Yeah. And that is true, Hayes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for those moments, he's just basking in this.
Yeah, you know exactly what you're doing. It's like you literally know exactly what you're doing, and you're 100% confident in what you're doing. So okay.
Otherwise, I would try my best to keep a bead on the TIE fighters, but as soon as I start seeing them, kind of peel off, he would relax his grip on the controls.
Okay. You're muted.
Question for the Moth.
Okay.
Can I feel Tendrick relax his grip on the controls of the gun.
I'll say, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is when I'll slow come out of the dive and just.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sort of tuck yourself into a. Okay. Okay. You pull yourself out of the dive and the swoops and such, and you literally pull yourself into traffic under a Throck bulk freighter, which is probably about 1.5 kilometers long and about half that wide.
Oh, then you'll just kind of blur down. Oh, you're nice and wide. I like your shadow.
Yeah. And as you pull under there, the next thing you notice is as you look up, you see a flashing sign, probably maybe 1,000 kilometers ahead of you. Way. It seems that your maneuvering has brought you closer to this place.
Click, click, beep, click. We're going to just fall into traffic. Make sure I'm not fucking anyone over behind me while I do it.
Okay.
As I'm budging. I'm pretty sure I'm budging.
Oh yeah. You're right up against this thing. As you get a little bit closer, this thing starts to maneuver a little bit, and you see it's heading toward a docking arm actually at this casino. Like it's maybe delivering something there.
I'm gonna set us down if there is room right next door.
Yeah, there's a couple of bays right next door. That you see are actually currently unoccupied. They could be private slips. It's hard to say exactly, but
I'll tentatively land and then kind of look at their deck window. Like, can I be here? If I see them, I'm assuming from where the cockpit is on the ship, there's going to be an office up there that's flight control.
You see a flight controller looking down. You see him speaking into something. The guy turns his head and points down. And then you see them they flash the lights on the docking bay itself. And the flash is basically you think it's a symbol of go ahead and proceed, go ahead and land. So,
Tindrick, I don't know these codes. Decipher this for me.
You notice now that you've come back into yourself fully and such, you're hearing someone beating that freaking hatch to the cockpit behind you.
Excuse me. I unlock it.
Okay. Yanni comes stumbling in and says, "What are you doing?" She looks a bit just slightly disheveled, as if maybe she just woke up abruptly. Maybe by falling onto the floor, possibly.
She will see him coming down off of an adrenaline high, and hands really shaky, and just looks at Tindrick like, "You fucking do this for me." Yeah. He can't talk right now.
Yeah. Cool.
I think will take over.
Okay. All right. So do me a space transports roll to land, because that you recognize from what you've read that symbol is basically you're okay and cleared to land.
Well, if you'll tell me that, then I'll land properly.
Okay. The only reason making you actually roll this is because there's a bulk freighter right above you. So if you roll really, really badly, you might scrape something.
14. Yeah. I exploded once.
Okay. So you guys are able to get the ship into the berth. It's actually a pretty wide berth. You can see as you pass through, there's basically a force field you pass through that preserves the atmosphere inside. As you sit down, you see to the left and right of you in marked areas, several, in some cases, extremely high dollar space yachts. This seems to be possibly like a VIP area. And you see the door open and two figures step through a hatch. One of them is large, possibly as tall as 7 feet tall. You see a bunch of fur. It's hard to really see from your perspective where they are. The other one, the other one's also furry, but shorter and has a muzzle of all things, and large pointed ears coming up from the sides of its skull. So both seem to be ready. They're armed and armored. Looks like some kind of maybe like security uniform almost.
Does Haish recognize the shorter one as a Bothan?
No, actually, he's not a Bothan. Actually, do me a alien species check. That's knowledge, by the way.
Knowledge.
Both of you guys can do that if you want.
10.
Okay, that's enough. The shorter one is what's called a Shistevanin.
Oh.
His fur is black. Has a very the head is has a very canine look to it. Although the body itself is much more humanoid. They don't really have backwards articulated legs or anything like that. The other one is a little harder to place. It's, I said, about 7 feet tall, has light gray fur, has oddly very brilliant blue eyes, and long tusks coming from a very large mouth.
Ooh.
So
Hayes knows it's not an elderly Wookiee.
No, it is definitely not a Wookiee. The shorter one waves up to you and motions for you to come down. By the way, both of these figures are armed.
With?
One is armed with what looks to be a sporting rifle, a blaster. The other one is armed with a blaster carbine.
Okay.
So,
I'll probably unbuckle myself from my pilot's chair and kind of like stagger to my feet. He's probably a little whipped because he's never actually done what he's just done before.
Yeah, it's a little draining when you use the Force like that.
He'll
more emotionally draining than physically.
Okay. He'll kind of like reach out to Yana as he passes. I don't know if she takes his hand or not, but he'll just kind of whisper, "I saw a very dark thing hail us when we came out of hyperspace, and there were TIE fighters, and I lost them for a time." Good.
You did well.
And I hope, and he'll kind of like put his 3 fingers on her forehead or on her temple. Mm-hmm. I hope that you did not bump your head.
No, I'm quite fine. It was a rude awakening, and I spilled my calf. So
well,
as she leads you out of the cockpit in the general area off to the side, you guys have like an auto chef droid that's over cleaning up this spilled calf or base coffee. Tendrick, you're gonna meet Haish there in the central area.
Yeah. Once everything's set up and they tell us to come out, Tendrick would.
I'll tell her that there's 2 hangar guards that want to speak with somebody, and I'm just gonna sit right here and have a moment to myself, if that's acceptable.
That's okay, though. You might want to come out with us. I don't want them coming in looking for you.
Oh.
She straightens her outfit a bit, walks over and looks at her hair in a mirror. Says, "Okay, let's go."
Tendrick will actually carry Haish out by the arm if he's not able to support himself right now.
I can walk. It's just, but don't ask me to move quickly right now.
Right.
It's almost like you're running on a your body feels energized, but your mind is just sort of there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You're almost drunk on that feeling. So
Really good feeling, but either way, I'm not here.
The gangway drops, and as you go walk down the gangway, you see these two figures. They're a respectable distance away, but close enough so it's obvious they're talking. They're looking at you. The shorter one steps forward and says, with sort of a gravelly voice, "Welcome to the Waya. We didn't have prior notice that you were coming."
A surprise. My apologies.
Yane elbows you and puts her hand on your shoulder. She says, "I'm sorry, my son is he's a bit out of sorts. You see, he's been drinking."
I have.
We are. She reaches into her pouch and pulls out her comm, and she said, "We've been traveling for a long time just to get here. I assume you have adequate accommodations for someone of my station." And yeah, he sort of, you see the Shastavian tilts his head a little bit, and so does the bigger figure as well. And he looks up at the ship, looks down at her, looks up at the ship, looks back at her, and she sort of just smiles and says, "It's been a very long trip." And she holds out the comm link to him, and the other one can see, or they can see the number on there. It's a fairly good nut-sized number of credits. And she said, I assume this is enough to secure my accommodations and for myself or for my two sons." And he, "Sure, I'll make the arrangements myself." He turns and looks to the big fellow next to him. He says, "Glalt, come here. Escort them into the VIP lounge while we get something together. And don't be rude."
Sir.
Okay.
No shooting. Yes, sir.
He nods to the big creature and then turns back to the three of you and says, well, I guess officially welcome to the Waya. We'll have your accommodations ready for you within. Well, we have to get some ready for you. We'll have them to you within the hour. But until then, feel free to go relax in our lounge. So.
Haish makes he sees a nice big comfy chair and he'll make a beeline for that damn chair.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Glalt will have to, this big walking carpet will have to lead you from the docking bay into the lounge area.
Oh, well,
the
then
lounge
I'll
area
be
itself is
in his shadow then.
It's probably one of the nicest places you ever see in your life. There is some very pleasant, smooth jazz-like music being played. Possibly by a band off in one corner. That there's a little small raised platform, and they're playing what might be instruments. It's hard to tell with the different instruments in the galaxy exactly. There's a circular bar at the center of the place. The place has indirect lighting everywhere, and there are tables and very comfortable looking chairs scattered in little clusters all across this place. Beyond this lounge, there's an archway that leads out into an area that you can sort of hear the noise from. There's flashing lights and dings and whirls and whistles and such of possible games. It's hard to say exactly. And a sort of a murmuring susurration of speaking of hundreds of people at one time talking together that you can't really understand any given sentence or such. But it's not loud enough to be really oppressive or too loud where you're at currently in the lounge. And yes, you do find a nice chair.
Glalt is going to point to the lounge with a very large claw.
Yeah.
You stay. Don't move. I watch you.
Is that so, my friend? Well, I have a chair, and that's all I want right now.
I have claws. That is all I need.
All right. Off with you then. We found our lounge.
You do not give orders to Gwalt.
They should be nice and relaxed.
Yep.
But
Oh, you know what?
Gwalt
He's actually
does have message. Gwalt must go get drink.
he's gonna take a nap. You know, Tyler's a tiny little power nap.
Yeah. It doesn't take very long as you're sitting down. You guys, a droid comes over and asks you, what would you like to drink, or would you like anything from the refreshment menu? It has a little screen on front that actually displays all kinds of different foods. Them looking really, really good. Some of them looking mildly disgusting. But obviously for different, different species, they have different strokes and such. So, but there's no prices on anything. Yanni leans over and says, "Bring me a dozen of these clams." Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. He says. And for the gentleman,
Tindrick would actually kind of look over at Yanni and be like, "I don't know what half this crap is. I need a suggestion."
Bring him some of the clams as well. And do you have a carafes of calf or stem or stem or any of that kind of stuff? And he's like, "Yes, ma'am, we do. We actually have we do have calf. I can bring a carafe of that and several mugs if he likes. That'll do. Yes." And it says, "Thank you. Thank you, ma'am, for your order. I shall return shortly." And it turns and rolls off. You do see that walking carpet figure nearby with a drink, watching, but not like being like imposing. So
An enormous carpeted henge in the corner.
basically, yeah. So,
He's very monolithic. Sorry, Winks.
That's okay. It fits. The droid comes back shortly after that with a tray on one hand with a big carafe, steam rising from it, with 3 mugs. It sets that down, and on the others, it sets down a plate that has something that Tendrick's never seen before. It looks for like rocks that have been cracked open, maybe along one side, and they're sitting on like a bed of greens and such. Yane reaches out and pulls one of the plates towards her, takes a fork and pries it open, and pulls out something that looks like you may have hacked up during allergy season, and puts it in her mouth and gets a look of utter ecstasy on her face.
Well, considering this is her scene, so to speak, Tindrick is going to just kind of like to defer her judgment and trust. So he's going to pick up one as well and kind of emulate what she did with the fork and everything.
Well, tell us how he likes it. Does he like it or does he not like it? That's up to you, 100%.
Right. Well, I mean, he crack it open. He kind of fish it out. He take a look at this thing. He look over at her, look at it, look at her, look at it, and be like, "All right." And he just popped the whole thing in his mouth. I'm assuming he's equivalent to what we know as.
Yeah, it's like oysters.
Right?
Yeah, it's oysters.
Okay. Yeah. He doesn't quite get the look of ecstasy that she does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a new strange thing to him. But yeah, he definitely gets like this half smile on his face and quickly digs in to grab another one.
Yeah, Yane looks at you and sees and smiles. She said, "These are okay, but what I would give to let you have some of the wonderful food from back home in Naboo. These were just a small taste of the kind of things we used to have back then. Meanwhile, Haish, you've fallen asleep. What's in your mind right now?
Haish is kind of going back through the last few images of Dantooine, and he's reliving this scene on the gangplank, or excuse me, the loading ramp, with Stas Ali, and it's been this reoccurring dream over the past couple days of them and being in hyperspace. He takes the box of things from Stas, and he half turns like he's gonna leave her, but he turns back and says, "You're staying here." And every time he has this dream, he's more forceful with "You're staying here." And now he just roars at her. And she, with all the serenity and calm of a Jedi Knight of her station and carriage, she always accepts. And she turns and jogs off into basically their back 40, but he sees he's a Miracluca, he does not have eyes. He sees her death, her being slain in a tall grass field, and it's at that point where it's almost like the camera would pan from like her legs up along her form. And it's like he when the camera goes and she sees his like her dead eyes just staring off into the sky, the last beautiful blue sky of Dantooine. For something about that dead look, however calm it may or may not be, freaks him out. So when Haish does come to, it's similar to that scene in the Lord of the Rings where Aragorn is disturbed and he sits bolt right up in bed with a buck knife in his hand and he growls. But in this case, he flicks his lightsaber out. He doesn't actually activate it, but he just growls at everyone in the room and just like pauses, like
You said this was recurring, correct?
yeah.
Yeah. So when this happens, Tindrick is probably like mid clam bite, and he just looks over at Haish. We're safe. Sit down. He goes back to eating.
Yeah. Yana sort of looks at him, and you see her eyes drawn to the lightsaber, and she says, "Put that away."
He just stuffs it back into.
And
like
she glances around. So
but
Galalt's over in the corner.
No, it's a completely defense mechanism kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's fine. So Galalt over in the corner there, as you're staying there watching this trio, in your you have a little earpiece for your comm, and your boss says, "Are they settling in? Anything out of the ordinary about them? You noticed anything odd?"
No, sir. I was rude again. However, as such, the drinks are on my tab.
Okay, noted. I'll make sure the proper deductions are made.
Yes, sir.
Right now, I'm running imperial checks on them. So far, they haven't come as anyone that's involved with those damned rebels, at least. So I'm not sure why they're running from the Imperials. Keep an eye on them, and as I said, I'm gonna send in Gil, which is a code word, to have a word with them.
Yes, sir.
All right. About that time is when you see Haish wake up, and with the roll you made, yes, I had Galt make a roll. You do spot what was in his hand.
My Galt's hand makes a quick twitch towards something on his back left hip, but he quickly moves it back,
Yeah.
hoping no one picked up on that.
Yeah. So if Tendrick wants to make well, actually, I don't know. Were you focused on Haish, Tendrick, when he woke up?
Because it's been reoccurring,
Mm-hmm.
and with Tendrick's sleep cycle, he doesn't sleep very much himself because he's always tinkering or something.
Mm-hmm.
He would do like the half glance because he just saw Hayes sit up, and he'd just be like,
"Okay,
calm your shit."
Well, do me a perception real quick then.
I don't know that Tendrick would actually know that he has a reoccurring nightmare. He doesn't sleep in his bunk unless you're in the cockpit with me.
Sorry,
Also keep in mind, Leith would probably relay that stuff to me.
Oh,
he's working the sensors.
Leith is sitting next to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole.
Leith, I thought you were my friend, you asshole.
Right.
Anyway.
The whole, Hayes just sat bolt right again. What's going on with him?
Yeah, technically, it would be a search, is what the actual role would be, skill wise. Under perception, though.
It'd be a search. Okay.
Yeah, if you have the skill.
20.
Okay. You notice that this guard Glalt, which you probably has been keeping your attention a little bit, because it is a big walking carpet that's mentioned that had big claws. Even though it's standing there with cradling in one arm this sporting blaster, when Haish moves, it moves as if it's reaching for something itself, and then almost tries to hide it. Like its hand goes back to the blaster.
Tendrick will look up at Galalt, won't say anything out loud, but just looks at Galalt, looks at that spot where he reached for, and just raise one eyebrow. And then while looking at Galalt, will eat another clam and turn back to Yanni.
Galt's personality trait is slightly paranoid, so he's gonna, looking right at you, kind of shift his belt and his jacket to cover that spot and stare at you threateningly.
Yeah. So, okay. About that time, you hear the actuator for the door open, and a figure comes in, flanked by two human guards, dressed similar to like the armor you saw on the this is David, and sort of what Galt's wearing currently. By the way, it's a the armor itself has it's painted like a almost like a rusty red color, and on the front it has a 7-pointed star. The symbol itself, it's the star itself has each ray is a different color. So it's not like a single color, but like a black sun, for instance. It's not that, but it is a multi-rayed 7-pointed star. The figure walking in is wearing very nice clothing. He's human. He has a little brooch, or possibly like a little something on the front of his tunic that has the same symbol. He has long black hair and sort of his skin is tan, but just a little bit more than tan, if you will. Eyes are brown. And he carries himself with you get the sense this guy is somebody here. He is a person who's in control. The two guards basically come in, and they're almost like they're trying to be unobtrusive. And their weapons that they have are holstered at their hip. They're like black blaster pistols, not rifles. And he comes over and comes up to the table where the three of you are, and he says, "Well, to whom do I have the pleasure to welcome to my casino?"
Does Yanni say anything, or is she letting us answer first?
Well, she has her mouth full with a clam at the moment when he comes up. So It gives you guys the chance to possibly speak first if you want.
Haish will sit up, straighten himself, and he introduces himself. I am Haish Talor. This is my brother Tindrick and our mother Yane of Naboo.
He nods. And he looks at her and he says, "It's an honor to have one of the royal handmaidens in residence. I assume that you are off duty." And she sort of looks, almost chokes on her clam. And she looks up at him and says, "I hope the amount that I paid buys discretion." And he says, of course. You know, I don't intend to give that information away to anyone. And the way he says give that information away to anyone gives you maybe the idea that if the price is right, he might sell it. But, but he has no intention of looking for a buyer at the moment, at least. And he motions to one of the men. They bring a chair over to him, and he sits down. He said, "I couldn't help but notice your abrupt landing. And I just need to reassure myself, and of course, for the safety of my guests, that I'm not going to have a squad of Imperial stormtroopers suddenly walking through my casino looking for someone, am I?"
She looks I settle on Haish.
Yeah.
Shit, is Haish honest or does he lie? Lying or deception is under what?
That will be under perception, actually.
Is it under perception?
Yes.
I have no die in deception.
But perception, it will be the skill or the stat that you would default back to then. That's persuasion, con, that's all under perception.
Haish simply replies, probably not. In his mind, he thinks that the way they dove out of space there and lost the patrol in traffic, they could be elsewhere.
Okay.
With how steep he was putting the dive, they probably would be searching lower in orbit than where they currently are. It would be most logical in Haish's mind. But assuming that there's no normal pilot on board.
Yeah. Okay. So is he going to say that we shouldn't have any problems with the Imperials, or
what he says will be, we probably will not have any Imperial visitations.
Good. That takes a load off my mind. Well, I have no personal love for the Empire, nor do I have any love for those insane people trying to liberate planets and such. We don't like to have, things interfering with the fun. Obviously, people like to gamble. They don't want to have a stormtrooper coming up and knocking their tables over and putting blasters in their faces.
Of course not.
I just want to make sure of that. That was, a very simple thing. We have secured rooms for the three of you. We hope you have a pleasant time here. We are going to have to charge you a bit of a fee for restocking your ship and such like that. We'll add that to your tab, though.
How much is this fee?
We'll have to assess that once we find out how much fuel we have to put in your ship, and there's any like coolant that needs to be added and things. They'll do a basic check, but generally it's not too much.
I give him the ID
couple of thousand
code for my my comm link and
Okay.
charge it to my account.
Oh, very well, sir. Very well.
And is there a person that I could have my ship's IDs changed?
Well,
It's nothing illegal.
he looks around the lounge and he says, technically it is. So, and he motions sort of down. And he said, but he does lean forward a little bit. He says, for a nominal fee, those services may be acquired.
I recently acquired this ship, and the ship is known by a different name and by a different owner. He'll make a head motion to Mom. It's mine.
Understandable. I assume that you want to have this ID changed, not through official channels.
All of this is under the discretion that she purchased. Is that clear?
Well, the amount that she paid was generous, but there are limits. But
well,
I think
if there is a difference, then we can talk about that later.
I think we can discuss this. Yes. So if you'd like, I'll escort the three of you up to your rooms now. If you'd like, you do seem to be a bit fatigued there, young man.
You're very perceptive. Yes, take us up.
Okay. He motions for Glault.
Hey, don't be rude.
To follow. The fellow basically he offers his hand out to Yane and then offers her his arm as an escort. The two guards come and sort of flank the two of them with the two of you behind, and Glault falling up at the rear. They take you through that door to a hall. Down the hallway to a lift. In the lift, it's a very spacious lift, but it still feels fairly crowded with the basically you've got 7 people in here. It goes up a number of floors, and then opens up into, well, not what you were expecting. It's not a hallway with doors. It opens into a large room that has walls apparently made of either glass or transparent material with lattice work over it. Out beyond all of this, you can see the comings and goings of all this ship traffic and such. The beautiful blue star, which there seems to be some kind of like maybe some dampening of the brightness of it. They give you a really beautiful view of the blue, the beautiful star of this system. Is considered one of the greatest, most beautiful sights in the galaxy, actually. And below you can actually see the horizon of Lord Mantell, the light passing through its upper atmosphere, leaving a fringe of pink along the edge, with below the blue and the browns and greens of the planet itself. And standing in the middle of this very expansive room, well, first off, the place is furnished with extremely comfortable looking furniture. There's it's a very open floor plan, and there are control areas around there with droids and individuals operating them and such. This seems to be maybe like the main security area of the casino, if you will. There's a large sitting area in the very center, though, with a table. And sitting at this table is the Shestavian you saw earlier. The man leads you over to the area, and he says, "Please take a seat." And he steps aside. Okay.
Was that just for me?
What's that? Yes.
Okay.
It was actually. Yeah.
Then yeah.
Okay. You feel, by the way, as you're walking up, a sort of an inrush of energy coming into you, almost as if the force is wrapping itself around you and sort of refreshing you a little bit.
I initially feel the presence and I kind of scowl at it,
Yeah.
but once
Yeah.
it kind of washes over, all right.
Okay. So, and
Hey, she's
it
kind of
said,
grouchy.
okay, the Shestavin you see sitting there, it's the same one you met in the docking bay, although he's not wearing the armor anymore. He's wearing what can only be explained as like very rich robes. He's dressed like a nobleman, basically. And he said, I apologize for the bit of subterfuge I've had to perpetrate upon you with my fellow here. Obviously, you may understand that in this galaxy, with the Empire being so human-centric, someone of my countenance can be a bit intimidating. So, and he grins, that wolf grin with the predatory teeth and whatnot. And he says, I am Giltarin. And you three seem to have, shall we say, well, based on what we observed earlier, a problem with an Imperial officer of some type, yes?
Hey furrows his eyebrows. Perhaps.
Well, according to the contract that we intercepted, I can tell you this. Del Arcane is not someone to, he's not someone to play with, if you will. So you put me in a very interesting position.
He doesn't seem very good at hide and go seek either. Whoops, excuse me. Was that my outside voice?
The Imperial military, I can tell you, this far out in the rim, they're mostly conscripts. They're not very good at their jobs, if you will. If you'll.
Well, if we're being honest with each other, he shoots a look back at the back door. Well, he sees a beautifully lush carpet behind him. He leans forward. Is that door closed? Is that door closed?
Yes.
Okay, well then, carpet.
And what you actually see as you look back are two large trunk-like feet covered in fur.
Oh, glow. Well, hello there. I don't enjoy strange and unfriendly faces appearing on my view screen, assuming that they have business with me when I do not know them and we do not have appointments with them.
No,
It is
I definitely
very
agree with
rude.
That. I agree with it. It is extremely rude when someone just shows up without an appointment.
Exactly. So we apologize formally for this unappointment.
It's okay. As I said, it's I will say this: the flying the skill that you exhibited, and he steeples his hands, and his very well manicured
business.
Well, very well manicured, by the way, but very pointed claws click together a bit into sort of a steepled thing like this. He says, "It was breathtaking."
It's also none of your concern, sir.
Well, true, it's not. I was just going to offer a compliment where a compliment was due.
I thank you.
And also, I think that I might have a proposition for you.
Let's just look at Tindrick and I say in Corellian, they were so goddamn nosy in this system. Oh, she's actually seeing me kind of shout in Corellian.
He grins. He says he says in Corellian, you may be surprised that it's good to know what's going on, but we're also very good at not talking about it with others.
Oh, fine. I'm pretty sure he doesn't speak Miralukis.
No, probably not. Not
Good.
many do. But you see, I do have the people who can do what you asked for. They can alter your ship's registry. so that when you leave this area, you won't ping the Imperial network and have every Imperial patrol and customs agent looking for you, and between here and wherever you wind up going. To do it properly, though, it's a bit tricky. And the individuals who can do it are not common. But I do have a person I employ who is that good. But I don't actually want money for that, though.
I am here looking for a Tavis Darlon.
Tavis Darlon. Name sounds familiar. I could have someone look into it for you, if you'd like.
That would be much appreciated. He's actually starting to. If I'm getting the feelings through the Force that I think Haish is.
Roll me sense. Roll me a sense real quick. Yeah.
Oh, well, shit. All right. 9. Like 9, 10, 11s.
You're getting the feeling from this guy that you're not getting a feeling of hostility from him at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's as if what he's saying to you is exactly what he means. He's being honest about it. Now, do you get the feeling he is hiding things? Yes.
Oh, well,
But
I mean,
not
that could
about
just be
anything
assumed.
not about anything he's said so far. So,
the light that I felt before is not, however, coming from him.
No.
Okay.
Definitely not. Are you going to look for it? Are you going to try to reach out to it while you're sitting there?
Maybe.
Okay.
Not this moment, though.
Okay. Yeah, he is definitely not the light you felt. So, he says, I can have my people look for that individual if you'd like. As I said, I can also have your ship's registry scrubbed, and a new registry that will pass Imperial muster overlaid. I can even have it set up to where you can have more than one transponder if you'd like.
That sounds very expensive.
Can be. But as I said, I have plenty of resources here. Money is not really anything I need. What I do need, though, are people with certain skills. And a pilot with your kind of skills, I could definitely use.
I kind of shoot. Well, not kind of. I do. I shoot Tindrick a look that says, well, what do you think? He doesn't say anything, but that's the expression written large on his face.
Tindrick could just kind of give a kind of like a partial shrug and work.
Certain kinds of work would put us aligned with individuals that we don't want to have business with. I'm saying that, and I'm not looking at the individual across the table.
You sense more than see the nod. He said, I can understand that. I have no love for the Empire myself. I have no animosity toward them myself. They generally leave me alone. I also think that this alliance of free worlds, as they call themselves, the rebellion, I think they're idealists. They're going to get themselves and a lot of other people killed in the long run. So I tend not to deal with them either.
We also would like to be left alone. If you could guarantee us that.
Well, unfortunately, in this galaxy, nothing is guaranteed.
Well,
but I can assure you that if you choose to work with me, I will not be putting you in a position to work for either of those two. Now, because the Empire has its nose into everything, we might not be able to avoid them. The same with this Rebel Alliance that keeps popping up. Just recently, there was a huge incident down the planet where some of their operatives got into a firefight. And at the moment, Imperial Security is up in arms looking for them. So, I mean, that's probably more than anything why you only had 4 TIE fighters following you and not more.
Mm.
So, in a way, I guess they did you a favor, but at the same time,
Well,
I don't know how many people got injured in that firefight. They just seemed to recklessly fire into anything. At least stormtroopers attempt to not wound bystanders in a fight.
as I understand, most of that is suppressing fire, warning shots, that sort of thing.
They do a lot of those. They claim. Some people say they just couldn't hit the broadside of a Nerf. Anyway,
we can talk, but you'll note that my displeasure of both entities in this galaxy.
That's definitely understood. I will, while you're my employee, I will endeavor to not involve you in either of those 2 factions. Would that be acceptable? That oath?
Oh, I need an alien species, not test here. Shit.
Okay.
Using a little bit of player knowledge. Keith, you and I know how important keeping oaths is in other settings, but character knowledge would having say something worded that way, would that actually have the same weight?
Well, maybe an alien species knowledge roll there, Haish, because you've lived most of your life on Dantooine, so you've not really been out in the world, out in the galaxy much. So, okay.
12.
Okay. You've heard and seen on different holo dramas and different books and such as you've read about the Shistavinen,
right?
That they tend to be a very honorable people in general. They like challenges. But generally, if they give their word, they tend to keep it.
Okay.
So they're also very warlike people, and this guy definitely doesn't fit that mold. Obviously, he doesn't look very warlike right now. But
probably doesn't want to be branded an oathbreaker in his society or in another society
possibly
either.
Yeah.
So, well, then Haish is probably going to be a dick and be like, "I want that in writing."
I can have it done. He snaps his fingers, which actually is clicking his claws together, and he points at the human that claimed that he was Gil, and he nods and goes over and picks up a pad, brings it over to him, and hands it to him. He says, "Standard employment contract." He hands it to you.
And your word is you will endeavor to make us not involved with either the Empire or the Alliance. These are our terms.
I will not put you in a position to have to consider yourself allied to either of those groups. I cannot guarantee that you will not occasionally cross paths with them, because I can't control what they do. And from time to time, our business brings us in contact with them.
He looks at his family. Mm-hmm. Is this acceptable to you?
It'll do.
He just looks at Yane. Mom.
Whatever you boys would like. I like this place. They have good food.
Well,
it's a good place to hide, at least.
Well, I would not take you away from the pleasures that you've certainly earned with your career.
She looks at this David and says, "Do you have sonic showers?" And he says, "Yes, we do." She's, yes, sign up.
I get my
my very soul for
more mother.
You will like working for our boss. He is good at hiding certain other things.
Says the big walking carpet behind you.
Tindrick just looks back and just raises a brow at Galalt.
Oh, Galalt. Yes, hi. Hiding things. All right. He signs, and I'll walk it back over to him. I'll hand it to him directly.
Yeah, he takes it and looks at. Well, he sort of glances at it and passes it over to the human, who takes it back over and basically sets it down next to a droid who starts entering things into a computer terminal. And he says, "Well, welcome to the employee of the WEA. So, and don't worry, you don't have to wear the livery. That's only for staff who operate on the floor occasionally."
It's quite flashy.
Oh yes, it is. So
I like it.
Yeah, the star is actually a symbol from my people from back home, if you will. It's an ancient symbol. When several tribes at one point came together to basically form a peace and a nation of their own. But that's neither here nor there. That's not very important per se. I do have, as I said, a job that needs to be taken care of fairly soon. I need a good pilot. And you do seem to have that skill. He looks over at Tindrick and says, "So your brother, and now that I look at you, I realize that can't be an actual blood relation.
We're adopted." He just
understood. He says, "Understood. What skills do you bring to the table? I'm sure you have something that's if your brother's such an amazing pilot."
If it's broke, I'll fix it. If it's not broke, I'll make it better.
Ah, okay. So you've got a mind for technology, it sounds. Any particular technology you deal with primarily? Programming, droids, slicing, any of that kind of stuff?
At the moment, it's been droids and vehicle repair.
Okay. That's good to know. So I'm sure we can find many things that you can tinker with, if you will. My experience, those who have a passion for technological like to play around with things. He sort of smiles at that. He says, "It's not really something I have a great knowledge in, although I do occasionally play around with droid programming. But this job, let's get down to business." And he sort of slides forward a bit, and he says, "What do you know of Alderaan?" This is the first Galt's hearing of this too, by the way. We've never heard him actually mention Alderaan.
Why is Alderaan important, boss?
We'll get to it, Galt.
I understand that it's gone.
Well, gone is has a certain finality to it, don't you think?
Well,
and
turned into asteroids.
As a planet, it's gone. But yes, there's a very expansive asteroid field where the planet once was that is slowly coming back together, and eventually will form another world. Eventually, obviously, it's going to take quite a bit of time. But
the people are still alive, widespread, and healthy, I believe.
True, and the ones that were on the planet, of course, are all dead. But there are things that survived, not things as in living things, but certain structures, if you will, vaults and things like that. There, when you destroy a planet, you don't you don't vaporize the whole thing. You just it breaks up into large chunks and such, some smaller, some larger. And some things actually survived the destruction of the planet itself, from what I understand. I've recently acquired some information about a location, about something that may have survived. But it's going to require someone who, with a level of piloting skill that is well above average, to get to it. and I think you may have the skill to do it. Obviously, flying into a normal asteroid field is a challenge. Flying into a former planet's asteroid field, that requires something a little more.
And we will be compensated how again?
Well, obviously the modifications to your ship that you mentioned, and I can provide a hefty purse for it as well, depending on what you're able to bring back. It has come to my attention that one of the larger asteroid chunks in this field has been discovered to contain some vaults that may have been part of the Royal Alderaanian palace. And these rumors claim that there are, obviously, possibly treasures there, archives that, and he, as he says, archives, looks up at Glalt, that may contain some very interesting information, and possibly even information leading to certain other treasures that may have disappeared at one point or another in Alderaan's history. Say, for instance, the entire planet's weapon supply.
I assume you want me on this mission?
Well, it is something that might interest you, Glalt.
I will gladly accept.
Would you two mind taking my friend Glalt along?
I don't know where he's going to sleep.
I can fit in small places.
Do you shed?
Pulls off a tuft of hair.
A little bit.
Sprinkles it.
We can have him brushed, and he sort of grins at that.
Yeah, you brush him thoroughly, and I'll let him on my ship.
That's reasonable.
I'm not a shag carpet.
I know you're not, but
of course not. But you should take care of that, Glalt. That's not. I don't want your hair scattered up in my carpet either. This stuff doesn't come out very easily.
Yes, sir.
No.
My apologies.
I brush myself. But yes, Glalt has certain skills that you may find useful as well along the way. Not only is he big and intimidating, he has some hidden talents.
Tindrick has hidden talents.
Yeah.
Everyone else is nosy and probably knows mine.
Well, I'll say this, that I have heard tales of Miraluka, extremely rare in the galaxy.
No, we're okay. Drugs? We don't want anything. God damn it.
Drugs.
Drugs.
Who invited
That's
this one?
Anyway,
that's my favorite part.
He looks at that for a moment. You see one sort of eye lift a bit. He's just done. I will do what I can. He says, I actually may have something for you about that.
Well, when we're done with this meeting, you and I can speak in private.
Well, we'll consider this done because there's actually a thing I want to show you. Glalt, you can come along too. If you trust your brother, you can bring them as well.
Well, all right.
He walks behind gets up and leads you guys across this expansive floor of this place, behind where the turbo lift is, sort of in the center of the room, and behind there's the area is sort of divided off into rooms, almost galleries. The very first couple you go through have all kinds of art and such up on the walls, almost as if it's his own personal art exhibition. He goes back to one door at the back of one, a very unassuming little door, and he pulls out a personal data pad, and he punches a code into it and puts it in a slot along the wall. And then he places his hand on the pad and puts his eye up to a scanner. Obviously, it's some kind of a biometric scanner, and you hear the door itself click and hiss and slide aside. And he leads you into a fairly small, but at the same time, oddly comforting room. There's a desk with a couple of chairs sitting around it, as if you might see like in a research part of a library in your mind. And along one wall, there's a bookshelf that has all kinds of different books, actual physical books, something you almost never see these days. Some of these look to be very, very old, some of them a little bit newer, but just books of all types. He goes over to one area, places his hand on the pad, and an area slides open there, and there's a small little collection of about 6 of these leather-bound tomes, basically. And he pulls one out, and he brings it over to the table and sets it down. And he very gently unlatches the strap and opens it up, and he steps back and motions you to look at it. And it's
Which
a journal.
you are you talking about? Talking to
the two of you, Tindrick and Haish. He sort of motions to the two of you. More to Haish, because he really hasn't heard anything about Tindrick yet, about horse stuff.
And walk over.
It is we look on, you see a list of names, and you're scrolling through the list of names, and some you've heard. Everyone has heard the name Obi-Wan Kenobi. He was a hero of the Clone Wars. Fought for the he was a hero and a tragic figure from the Clone Wars. He fought for the Empire, or for the Empire, against the Separatists, but in the end he turned against the Emperor. There's several other character or names, and then there about probably the dozenth, 12th or 13th name down, you see that name. And he said, I required this from an elderly gentleman a couple of years ago who he had gotten himself into a fairly bad spice addiction. Said he wanted to forget everything. I tried to help nurse him back to health, but he didn't want to get better. And eventually I don't know what exactly happened to him. He died.
But there was blaster.
But there was nothing wrong with him. It's almost as if he willed himself to die. Oh. He just sat down in his room and
expired.
Ceased to live. He had this book and those others there as well on his person. And he said they were the only thing that were of any real worth, but he couldn't bring himself to sell them. So as you look through these things, basically the book that he has laid out there apparently is it looks like it's possibly a ledger, maybe, looks like maybe organized into classes, individuals that were listed in some cases it says instructor, and then below that it has instructed, and then the names of different people. It lists what you see is his master and Padawan.
Oh, it's a curriculum ledger.
It looks like it might be something that was kept by someone, maybe at the temple back in the day.
It's probably Jocasta knew. She was the librarian. Haish will just take the book and you'll start flipping through it. You're looking for his name, actually.
Yeah. You do get toward the back, and yes, you do find your name. You do find Tindrick's name.
And there we are.
Okay.
I move it so Tindrick can see. I point us out.
Okay.
See?
Tindrick would kind of just look over. He'll raise an eyebrow.
Mm-hmm.